Please welcome Sanyo! Hey, my dear. How are you? Nice to see you. How are you?
I am fantastic. I'm great.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Nice to be here.
It's great to have you on the show. It's nice. And so things are clearly going quite well for you.
Oh, it's going great. It's going great.
An interesting path, too, because you, like many people who want to get into a creative business like this, it's such a huge risk. But moreover, it's hard to get parents to support. I know for you, much has been written about the fact that this wasn't what your parents initially wanted you to do for a living. But did you feel like you needed to be validated in this? And when did you feel like you got it from them?
That's like I'll answer that question a couple of ways. I think the greatest gift that my parents gave me, other than life, was the tremendous obstacle they put forth as themselves when I was about 17 or 18, when I was leaving my hometown to go and not go to university, but go to the National Theatre School. And they were, in their own loving way, concerned that I was going down a road that they didn't think that would be difficult and very sad for me. And because I was able to overcome them, that just gave me a tremendous amount of fortitude, because I love my parents. And when you have someone who are the two most important people in your life telling you that you can't do something and you do it anyways, then it just doesn't matter what anyone else is really going to say, because I've already been hurt. Do you know in that way? Sure. But the second part of your question is, at what point did you feel that validation from them? It was early on. It was probably after one of my very big first pieces for the CBC, called The Diary of Evelyn Lau. And my mother in particular, she's a tough cookie. She said to me, that must have been very hard. And that meant the world to me, because, you know, kind of traditionally in Asian cultures, being an actor and being on stage isn't really supported, you know, and but that was something that they really couldn't stop. Did she feel any vindication in the part that she had told you, if you become an actor, it'll be about drugs and prostitution, and then never allow it's about drugs and prostitution? Yes, exactly it. They really felt that, you know, being an actor was kind of on the lower side of the rungs of life. And then, of course, the first thing that I played was, you know, a poet. But she also suffered through drugs and prostitution. One of the things is, great. As we no, actually, to continue that, the validation is, my parents are quite religious, and I remember being on the TV Guide, and the following Sunday there was a bunch of people at church who did not talk to them. Yeah, and I think my parents also felt pride in what I did at that moment. Do you know what I mean? Right. Saying like, no, this is good what she did. It's interesting because there's a line that gets drawn in the sand. First they draw that line with you, and then they instantly become protectors of you and draw that line against them. Yeah. But the thing though about people who are driven in any way to overcome something like that, as you say, overcome your parents, once you do, all the skill set you have about learning, about overcoming, doesn't just go away. There's still that drive. Do you still feel that there's residue of that drive in you? Oh, all the time, like all the time. You know, the world's a big place. There's a lot of things to be concerned with and be open to. It doesn't end for me because I'm on a successful television show. Yeah. I still feel it all the time. I still feel it from all my friends and, you know, my fellow, you know, Asian actors who are also struggling. Grey's does a good job of not focusing on ethnicity. Like, in a way, it's just characters. It doesn't seem to be about, oh, that's the Asian one, that's the black guy. No, I totally agree. I totally agree, and I think in some way, when she did the show, and this is one of the things I'm actually most proud of being a part of the show, is something changed, I feel, in television with that show at that time, where it wasn't only like you have non-white actors in the cast, but it's people who actually are central tellers of the story. You got to play with it a little bit. Here's a clip from Double Happiness. Watch this. Oh, geez. So long. Good, okay. Try it with an accent. I know.
What kind of accent do you want me to do? A Parisian accent? Excuse me. Yes, a very good Chinese accent I can do for you.
I mean, does that mirror your own experience?
No. Early on in my career, I pointedly tried to stop doing that. One, you have to pay your bills. If you still want to do it, you pay your bills, you do that. And then I was like, okay, I don't need to play Korean prostitute anymore. That doesn't have any dialogue. So I'd like to kind of move on from that. And I just was very strict and adamant about that. I will say, playing characters that are non-ethnic specific, I've had a lot of them.
As you get older, do you have more or less fear about your own life?
That's a good question. I think I struggle now, honestly, with more fear. I don't know whether that happens when you mature and get older. I don't know. I'm much more acutely aware of it. And then accompanying that is greater skill around it. You know, I don't know whether it's like closer to death. Do you know what I mean? It's getting scared.
The 4 in the gasp for air.
No,
You're like,
no, so just things
oh, that's
like.
just me?
No. That I told that happens. That happens to me too. Yeah, I think so. I will say, in some ways, being here with an audience filled with wonderful people, it's. I think at one point in my life that would have been scary, but I feel extremely comfortable with you guys. So thank you.
how do you feel?
But there are other things that are frightening, that I think are frightening.
You seem really caught up in the drama of it. You don't really get talked about in the press in that respect. You know, the kind of insanity of Hollywood. You're not in it. Is that a conscious choice, or is it just you've gotten lucky?
It's extremely conscious. I mean, it's taken me 8 years to come onto your show.
I know. Oh, I know. It's a lot of. This finger doesn't. I don't have any sense of touch anymore from dialing. All right.
No, it's extremely conscious, and I understand here talking about my life, you know, in front of people that goes out seems hypocritical in a certain way, but there are choices that you are making, and my choice to talk to you in your show and what you do on your show is very conscious on my part. I stepped out of doing press because it's too big a price for me, because I just think that if you want to be an actor and if you want to be an artist, it's like, to be known in that entire world, it throws you off your game. It throws you off of what I think is really important. And one thing that I'd like to actually bring up, this whole notion of celebrity, for me, I have no idea when I stopped being an actor. I do not consider myself a celebrity. I know many actors who don't consider themselves celebrities, and I just kind of want to like publicly make that statement, and that differentiation is, there's a big difference. And so with that part of that world, absolutely, I consciously have always tried to stay out of it.
All right, stick around. More conversation with Sandra Oh right after this.
Thank you.
The dynamic, that's what we don't know, but the dynamic of a casting day. Nice to be back to CBC.
Oh my God, where did you find that? What is that even?
Look at that.
It's just me eating? What is that? What is this?
Okay, but check this out. So.
What is that? Who has that?
So.
What is that footage even from?
I've been following you since you said no. That's actually just this archival footage we found in the CBC library of you.
Oh my God,
And
are you serious?
Why was someone, it's like someone was fetishizing your eating or something. It was so bizarre.
It must be she eats a lot.
I don't think it was that at all.
Okay.
In your heart of hearts, you're going to be back on Grey's, in your heart of hearts?
Why are you asking me that?
That's a,
you know, it's like,
it's a fair
like
question.
to,
You can say, I don't know.
In my heart of hearts, I'll tell you this, I love my job. I do. I love my job, and I love the show, and I love that character. and I would love to continue playing her.
There you go. It's an ensemble cast of the highest order, right? And as time goes on, when the show lasts longer, even though there's some changes, you still have your rocks there. What's it like managing the dynamic of that many actors in a room who all have very strong characters?
Yeah, it's interesting. It's a rare experience, and I think it's going to become a rarer and rarer one, to be on a show for 8 years. And I've been thinking about it lately that I think it's like being married. And it's not a kind of like the quick kind of like romance of being on a movie, or like, you know, you have like a few weeks here, it's like 6 weeks or something like that, and everything's fantastic, you love everyone, everyone's doing the same job and blah. It's a long-term relationship, and with that are long-term dynamics. And it really becomes about how you manage family dynamics. Mm-hmm. It's actually not necessarily about acting and all that stuff.
Are you good at managing family dynamics?
I don't know, my family is here, so. I like to think so. I mean, you'd have to talk to my other family members. I guess for me, it's the management of not only the fellow actors, but how you are on set and your relationship with the writers. Because on television, as an actor, for me, like other than your cast members, your primary relationship is with the writers.
So is there these surreptitious relationships being built with writers to kind of go, hey, why don't you write Yang a little bit like this? Or do you see actors do that?
No, absolutely not. You know, it's like we all have our different ways of how we are at this point, at 8 years, at this point. And for me, I know I've carved out a relationship with the writers that everyone is aware about, you know what I mean? And it's like some people want to know what's going on, like I do, or want to be involved in a much more collaborative process, and some people are totally fine not to know. You know, and that's their process and that's their thing. So.
As you've gotten older, and we talked about the fear, as you've gotten older, what's your relationship like with your parents' religion? You know, sometimes...
Yeah, sure. So I grew up in a pretty religious household. We went to church, two kinds, English and Korean. There's a lot of church going on. And so when I moved away from home, I moved away from it. But I will say, in the past few years, I feel like through the grace of acting and my art, that has kind of come much closer together with my spirituality. And when my own spirituality deepened, so did the closeness that I felt to be able to speak about it with my parents. You know, they're still extremely devout Christians, and I just feel way easier talking to them about it.
Because you can relate on another level?
Yes, I feel like I can relate on a much deeper level, and certain things that they'll talk to me about, I can filter through, you know what I mean? They can speak about certain things in a certain way, and I can filter it through understanding it from my point of view.
What's your spirituality? Does it have a name?
No, I mean, it's just, you know, kind of like forging out your own way, you know.
How do you find your quiet place? For others, it's praying?
You know, I started meditating, gosh, about 3-4 years ago. So there's that, which is so hard. It's like, which is so not quiet. It's like, if anyone who here meditates, it's like, it's not quiet at all. It's like you're sitting down and you're sore and you're in your mind and it's so loud in there. So it's like that quiet place. It's like not even really quiet at all. You know, but I go to my cushion. I keep on going back to my cushion.